So the 7-star Titanfall champion vote is, I'm going to say over, as the Cosmic one, which is the last one, has gone it's got a landslide vote, as I'm going to say most of these do. I can't really remember some of them off the top of my head, but we're going to go over them. I'm going to tell you who I vote for, which you'll be able to tell on the screen, and then we'll see how the community has voted. So this was done on Twitter. I'm actually quite surprised they didn't do this in game, because not a lot of people have access to Twitter, don't use Twitter. Which if you don't use Twitter, I don't blame you, to be fair. But I think some of these votes would have gone a little bit differently if the whole, like, people who actually play the game and they were able to vote, and they didn't, they just play the game, they don't go on like Twitter or YouTube or anything like that. I think these votes could have gone a little bit differently. But we'll go through these class by class, and obviously, and I'm going to give my take, who I voted for, and you'll see if I agree with them or not. So, starting off with skill, this was the first one, even though the first one was Mystic, but we'll get into that. So we had Shang-Chi, which is one I voted for, and that won the vote. Stealth Suit Spidey, which I would have loved if Shang-Chi wasn't in that. I would have voted for Stealth Spidey, but I think Stealth Spidey's criminally underrated. He's going to be very good in Season 9 of Battlegrounds, but he's done a bit dirty here. 9% of the vote, and then Kate Bishop and Mole Man. Why did I vote for Shang-Chi? I like the character. I've got a 6-star one. Took him to rank 2 recently. I wasn't able to using him in Battlegrounds because I didn't put him on my deck, but I've been using him like questing and all that. And he's got decent utility, easy access to Purify, Unblockable, and Slow. So he's pretty good there. And also, you'll notice with the champions I vote for, some of them, they don't really need their awakened ability, or they just need the one dupe. This is with Shang-Chi. Dupe, it's nice to have. Gives him a little bit more physical burst damage, I believe, on his basic attacks and special attacks. Not really going to miss it, personally. Same with Spidey. It just gives him more Fury potency. Kate Bishop, I can't remember what it does, and I can't remember for Mole Man either, but I had my 5-star Mole Man when I was progressing through this game unawakened for the longest time, and when I got him awakened, I barely noticed a difference. So this was actually quite a good pull. Am I surprised Shang-Chi will miss? Not really. To be fair, I thought Kate Bishop might have gone a little bit more, but I understand she's still a relatively new character, and still a lot of people don't really have her yet. So that is the skill. Now we have tech. This one also was very interesting, as I thought this one might have been a little bit more closer than it ended up being. But community voted for Warlock, which is what I also put my vote in for Warlock. Now, Ultron was going to... If Warlock wasn't in this one and something else was, I would have put Ultron. I love Ultron a lot. He's great. He's got great utility, great for questing. I've kind of stopped using him in Battlegrounds now, to be fair, since I don't have a 6-star one, but, is what it is. Omega Sentinel, I'm not really the biggest fan of Omega Sentinel. I really like her play style. I used to find it quite annoying on defense, but not really anymore. And Viv Vision, I personally think she's too new for me to give a general opinion on her. I know she's got the most pathetic stats in the game. But yeah, Warlock, I think for me was the easy pick here. Why? He's simple to use, great utility. I still use my 5-star one, even though I've kind of moved on to 6 stars now, but I still use my 5-star Warlock. He's also been great for this Masochism meta for Battlegrounds in the Victory Track, and he doesn't need to be awakened either. Like, it's just a little bit of degen damage. Nice to have, not necessary at all. And Warlock won this vote. And yeah, he's going to be added to the Titan pool. And also, when characters when they're in the Titan Crystal, they will eventually be added to the 7-star pool, which is what I was thinking about when doing this. So it wasn't about the Titan Crystal, it was more about the 7, because when these come out, no one's going to have access to a Titan Crystal. There's no way. So let's move on to Mutant. Mutant, I do think Mutant was actually quite tricky because there's compelling arguments for a lot of these characters. Omega Red, he's decent. He does need a very, very, very high sig level for the damage for his signature ability to be noticeable. Professor X, when I was progressing through this game, Cavalier Uncollected, I did get a 5-star Professor X quite early. He was doing good work for me, but I wasn't really a big fan of him. I did like him, just not as much as some people do. Colossus, I do like a good bit of Colossus. He's a great champ, Colossus. I'm glad he was in this pool. And he was one I eventually gave my vote for. And then we have Toad, which I like Toad a lot. I think he's gone a little bit under the radar, mainly because we haven't had... Toad was the last decent... Before Danny Moonstar came out earlier this month, Toad was out of the last 2 years, the most decent mutant that we got. He's annoying on defense if you don't have a good counter for him, which is basically Nimrod. But I would have liked to seen Toad won this, but unfortunately he got the least amount of votes, which is quite sad. I'm surprised Omega Red got the amount of love that he did, because again he needs quite a high sig to deal as much damage as possible. So I was quite surprised by that. But Colossus won this. I'm happy with that. Colossus is just a solid champion to come to the game as a 7-star. So I've got really nothing else to add. He's a decent champion. Now we have Science. Very, very interesting as a car alarm is going off. I don't know if you can hear it or not, but we had Spider-Man 2099, Spot, Captain America Infinity War, and Quicksilver. I'm going to see Captain America winning this because he needs a high sig level and synergies in most areas in order to be good. Spider-Man 2099, look, I get why Spider-Man 2029 is loved. I get it. I personally don't see it. That's just me. Does he need quite... I don't really think he needs quite a high sig ability. I've seen people do stuff with him unawakened. So, yeah. And Quicksilver, I find it quite funny that Quicksilver is a speedster, and yet he has one of the slowest playstyles in the game. I'm not the only person to say that, but I do find it quite amusing. And then we have Spot. And of course, Spot won. I love Spot. My 5-star ones, I love my 5-star Spot so much. If I can use him in Battlegrounds, I will. If I want to bring him to quests, I shall. His nuke potential as a 7-star, it's already good as a 6-star. It's going to be incredible to see what it's going to be like when people start getting a 7-star Spot. Does he need his awakened ability? I'm going to say no, not really, because I was using an unawakened rank 5-star in Battlegrounds, and you still get me wins. So yeah, because I think he gets the Fury when you punish a heavy attack during Untouchable, which it's nice to have. I personally don't find it necessary, especially with the 7-stars being tanky and having big attacks as they do. But one thing I'm concerned about Spot is that with 7-stars now, with the stat changes you can do, most people pick block penetration, and that kind of punishes Spot because you need to hold block to get 5 spots to get into Untouchable, and then you can go wild. So he does end up getting a bit of chip damage. But I'm happy with, Spot is one I voted for, and I'm happy he won. I do love my Spot. And then where's Mystic? Mystic, because Cosmic was last. Mystic, this was already going to be a controversial one, considering when they first did this was going to be the first one, but they Clairvoyant was in the vote when she shouldn't have been, which Legacy, if you go to his video on this situation, it is true, but Claire was not supposed to be in that vote at all, because it was sent to everyone who was in content creator program, and Claire wasn't supposed to be in it. If you don't believe me, go watch Legacy's video. He did prove it, and I do believe him. He's a credible source, and he's in the CCP. So yeah, bit of controversy there with Claire. Would I have liked to see in 7-star Claire? Yes, I would, because I like Claire. She carried me pretty much. Her and Magneto carried me through at 6 to get Thronebreaker. So yeah, I would love to have seen Claire, but instead of Claire, we got Spidey Supreme, which Spidey Supreme. I've been sleeping on him. He's actually very, very good. I just saw him as an annoying defender. That was it. But he's got really, really good offensive potential. But that's not the one I voted for. I voted for Juggernaut, and this one was actually quite close, 4% difference. I voted for Juggernaut. Why? It's Juggernaut. He is the Juggernaut, bitch. All right. Juggernaut's so good since his buff. I've not really heard a bad thing about Juggernaut since he got buffed. I know some of it is just like, well, he's not really good as a defender now, but who used Juggernaut on defense to start off with? Apart from the beginning of the game, obviously, because there was no unstoppable counters, from what I understand, near the beginning of the game. But yeah, Longshot would have been nice, because I don't believe Longshot needs to be awakened ability. Diablo, I like Diablo a lot. When I got him as a 6-star, he was like my first 6-star mystic. I used him a lot. Great damage, parry heavy for poison and, get the poisons on the opponent. Great access to healing as well for Diablo. I do like Diablo a lot, but Juggernaut won. Am I surprised? No, I'm not. There's a lot of love for Juggernaut out there, and not much needs to be said, really. Now we move on to the last vote, which is still ongoing, but look, there is no way Null is not going to win this vote now. There is no way Null is not going to win. But we had King Groot, Medusa, Cersei, and Null. And when I saw this last night, I saw it about an hour or two after it got up, and I thought, yeah, Null's going to win this. This was like, I don't get why people have such love for Null. I personally think he needs to be awakened and at max Sid to be a decent defender. I don't really know much about him on offense, but I've seen people do some good things with Null on offense. I voted for King Groot. I like King Groot a lot, as I've said for most of these. Well, this is what I voted for champions that I like a lot, and also they don't need the awakened ability, or they need it, but they just need like the dupe, and that's it. Which I was tempted to go for Medusa because she just needs the dupe, and then she's good. She also shuts down robots as well. And then Cersei. I've seen good potential with Cersei, not just as a defender, but as a offense champion as well. As my thing goes off, I don't know why my TV just went off then. But yeah, Noah was going to win this by landslide. Am I surprised? No, not really. I know there's a lot of love for Null out there, but I would have preferred it if someone else had won this one. But it is what it is. I don't know if this. I wonder if this again. I wonder if all of these would be, any of these votes would be different if in game they gave us a vote so that it could be decided on in game as well. Maybe not for like newer players, maybe like Thronebreaker Paragon players. They got the vote because obviously, not to like discredit like new players, but people at the end game, they know how characters work. and which one's probably going to be more beneficial as a 7-star and which ones probably aren't. So I do think it would have been interesting if there was an in-game vote as well. But that's it for this video. I just wanted to go over this because I did want to do a video on this because I do think it's quite interesting that that Kabam allowed us on Twitter to vote, where Twitter's probably the most just the most place for the most insane people ever. But to be fair, Marvel Contest Champions Twitter is actually pretty chill. So I'm gonna say the champions that won this, they're very, very good choices. I'm not saying these are bad choices. They're very, very good choices. I just would have preferred some other characters to come as 7 stars, but Titan Pool's always going to get updated. They're always going to move to 7 stars. So I'm sure at some point these characters will come to the game as 7 stars. So am I upset that some of these champions I've voted for aren't coming to the game? Yeah, but it's like with the Summoner's Choice vote, they're all going to come eventually, I'm sure. We've seen it with Omega Sentinel. She was in the vote, and she's now in the game. But yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. See you in the next one. Goodbye.